What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am here with a familiar face and friend of the channel, the one and only Mr. Emo Tony Stark, Drew, the lead guitarist of the Orlando's finest trash rock grunge pop band, Felicity. How you doing today, sir? It's great
Hey,
to see you again.
I love it, man. The intros always are the best. Doing great, man. Super stoked to be here. It's to see you again. We haven't talked in probably over a year now, but super excited to catch up and talk about all the craziness going on in the music world and to hang out.
Yeah, it's so funny because like on social media, we've been going back and forth for months. Like we got to do another talk. We got
Yeah.
to catch back up. And now like our schedules have finally aligned and I'm so excited to talk with you about what you have coming up. But before that, you have done so much since the last time that we talked. About over a year ago now, the last time we spoke, Charlie Sheen had just come out. It was fantastic single. I still have it on repeat. But you've put out the what's now known as the Wasted EP. The rollouts have been amazing. The songs have been incredible. How has the reception been from the fans and from your perspective on social media?
I think it's been awesome. Like we know the cool thing about being an artist and that I'd say like any form of artist, I was just talking about this with my buddy, is like we can say that like, this is gonna be the one, this is gonna be the one, this is gonna be the song, but like at the end of the day, like we don't like as an artist, you don't get to choose. You don't get to choose what you think is what your biggest song is or what everyone's favorite song is. Like sometimes we talk to people and they say like something from our first EP that most people don't even know exists is their like favorite song. And we're just like, that's awesome, right? Because I'm the same way. Like I'll discover a band, and then you work your way all the way back to their first album, and then you become a diehard fan, and then you're like, that first album was their best stuff. But like most people never even go listen to that EP they released. Like the diehard Avenged Sevenfold fans are like sounding Seventh Trumpet. That was where they peaked, right? So it's kind of like that, but for us, the response has been great. We always like set our ourselves goals to try like top ourselves, like how many streams can we get in the first 24 hours or first week. And we have an awesome dedicated like group of people in our Discord that really help try to like push those numbers and hit goals and do whatever we can. And it just really is like up and down at the end of the day, like when it comes to those singles, trying to find new and unique ways to promote them that no one else is maybe doing is like what we try to do. And like for better or for worse, I think we accomplished that, especially with like Codebreaker. Probably why people don't
Yeah.
remember it as much is because they probably unfollowed us that week. Um, so like there's a lot that goes into that, or like Lovesick Blues, where we're like, let's just go into stores and just bring in acoustic guitars and just play the song as loud as we can until something happens. Whatever happens, happens. And that was a lot of fun. And then this kind of period represent kind of like a transition for us of we went back to being 100% DIY, and there was a little bit of like lineup change and things like that. So it was like us trying to also figure out how to like do the band to like release a single, release an EP with maybe like four of us instead of five of us, and those responsibilities of whatever it is we're doing in the band kind of spread across a different group of people now. And so it's been awesome. It's been a very strong period of growth since Charlie Sheen. And that was one of our biggest singles we've ever released. So being able to follow that up and still be putting like solid numbers together, all leading up to this now, this finally culmination of like all this music we've been working on the last few years. It's been awesome, to a lot of fun to roll out and to see how it all happens.
Yeah, and the last time we spoke, towards the end of our conversation, you kind of alluded to the upcoming music. You couldn't say a lot at the time, but you
Mhm.
said it was some of the best stuff you'd ever written. And with each single, I was thinking, I'm like, oh my God, this one's better than Charlie Sheen. This one's better than the last one. And then I remember when Wasted came out, and that was just from the intro, like that immediately had me hooked. And
Yeah,
from a musical perspective, that might be my favorite Felicity song now, which is
we hear that a lot. Like,
crazy.
yeah, like people love that song, and we do too. We do too. I think we probably didn't get to promote that one as hard as we wanted to. It was like the last of that kind of EP cycle. But we
Hmm.
know that like the great thing is like with this album coming out and a lot of those songs being on the album, like it's going to get a second life, a second chance. And that one really translates like awesome live too. When we play Wasted live, like we can tell people really whether they know the song or don't, they're jumping, the energy's there. And so that's also, and that one's like we were really excited to release that one too. So I'm glad that you kind of agree with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. As far as the social media and like the rollouts go, I think Codebreaker is probably the most iconic, but from the music, I think Wasted is was like super memorable because I just remember like you guys teased it like just the intro on like Instagram Reels or something, and I was like, okay, I don't even need to hear the rest of the song. This is my favorite.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And it was with Wasted. It's hard because like we have a videographer that we work with for a lot of our big like if you see like us doing like really high def like higher budget type production as far as
Mhm.
like video production goes. But now he's like gotten his accolades up to where now he's going on tour with bands. So sometimes it's like we have a single lined up and we have this video idea we want to do with him for just like a reel or a TikTok, and the schedules don't line up. And then it's like, okay, back to the drawing board. We have to figure out what we can do with our iPhones to make this memorable. And that was like an example with Codebreaker was like, we're not going to have a super high def piece of content like a professional band would. We're going to have to like bootstrap this with duct tape and glue and just find a way to get people interested. And no one even knew that song existed until the reveal, the day it came out, which was also like a unique thing for us. Where like normally it's like band builds up a song for 2 months and then it finally comes out and you stream it, right? This was like we did the opposite. We made everyone like, you know, worry about us to the point where then all of a sudden it was a song and then 50% of the people were like, you know, golf clapping, and the other 50% was like, oh, that just for a song. We're like, yeah. But you know, us, we love like Nathan for You and going back to like Jackass and Eric Andre show, like that kind of like we know we're in on the joke, like the diehard fans. We're like we know that we're screwing around and that Felicity's just doing another thing. But like most of the people are just like they just go with it and believe it. And we just keep getting away with it. We keep tricking people. And so it's so much fun. And that's where really like we have a lot of fun where it's like what's real, what's not real, you know, or just getting reactions out of people one way or the other.
That's something I kind of wanted to talk to you about too, because I remember, like you said last time, you guys don't want to be like the band that cried wolf, like in the event that something like real actually does happen. That's a
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
huge deal, but like you guys blur the lines so well. Is there any like threshold that you won't cross, or what like, or with what you guys have done, has there been like a reaction that you guys were like, okay, maybe we should dial it back a bit?
Yeah, it's hard because it's like the further it's like sometimes it's the more we try to make it like make people find out like okay after this one they're gonna know like they're not gonna believe this like they're not gonna believe someone's like outside our garage filming us from inside but like sometimes that makes people it made people freak out even more um and but at the same time like there's been times it's gone like really big but at the same it's like if we're not as long as we're not like the people we're pissing off are just kind of pissed that they got tricked and they thought it was unnecessary and we're like well that's not something that actually bothers us. I don't really know if there's a line we wouldn't cross. We don't want to do anything that would get us canceled for sure.
Right.
I don't think we've crossed that line. um and if the stunts and antics that we do makes you kind of like not want to be as much of a fan, well it's like well we're gonna keep doing this so like you're probably not going to be around for that much longer anyway. We just really try to space it out because that's what I said. We don't want to be the band that cries wolf, so we don't just default to it. We're
Right.
like, hey, like when's the last time we really did stuff where like the lines were blurred? And also we try to do things like when we talked to Charlie Sheen's agent, like that was 100% real, and we weren't expecting that to go that way. But at the same time, it was like this is perfect because now this is like a palate cleanser. It's like something over the top that should be fake that's actually real. So I think we've really just kind of been lucky with a couple of those things, and then we try to space it out to where we only do it like every couple of years, like a big over the top like code breaker level thing.
Yeah, that code breaker thing, it was just so the timing was so perfect, especially when my Chem's account got hacked too around the same exact
It was
time.
the same day. It was like meant to be, and so we did it. And then like the next day, we were like, okay, like what are we gonna do next? Because we kind of like we have a rough outline of what we want to do. We have like 2 weeks. We write like dates on the board. Like we do a cryptic post this day, and then we do this, and we try to space it out and try to have something planned. So we're not trying to come up with something the day of. But that next day when my Kim's account got hacked for real, we were like, we have to pivot and just lean into this because this is what will drive it home. And then all of a sudden there was articles of us and my Kim in the same sentence. It's like bands like Felicity have also been hacked recently. And we're like, but all we did is we went to my Kim's page and took word for word everything and just posted it to our accounts. And then everyone just thought like, oh, they got Felicity too. So it was one of those like serendipity, just like right place, right time. And luckily the fan base crosses over to where like people kind of saw it coming from both sides. And it just happened to be meant to be. That is what I think really made it so believable too.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was a point where it's like, as it was happening, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I hope that like you guys don't get like a DM or something being like, hey, like a concerned fan being like, hey, I called the cops, they're on the way or something like that, or like, oh, that we called like the FBI or something crazy
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and I think some people probably got close. Maybe they did. Who knows? I bet they were just like, who cares? But there was definitely we did have concerned people, and I did feel bad because I would run into like we have some close friends who we met because they're fans, and they're like admins of our Discord. They're people we trust, and I like had to lie to their face because like we go all in. Like we can't because word spreads too fast. So
Yeah.
we don't. Our parents don't even know most of the time, and they're usually just as concerned as everybody else is. We did it one time where we kicked Damien out of the band for like 2 weeks, kicked him out of the band, and we did it in like the most like diva asshole way a band could be kick. You could kick out a member, just like posting a picture with a giant red X on his face, and it says Damien is no longer in the band due to creative differences, and that's it. And then just like Mike dropped it, and it went so viral. This was even before like TikTok. It was really just Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and people were like making memes out of it that were like on Twitter. It was like, if I ever get kicked out of a band, I want it to be this way, and it was like an example of that. Or it was or like people were. It went so viral on Facebook of all places. People were like, who is this band? Why are they on my feed? I don't even follow them. Like, why is this? Like, people were commenting stuff like that. Um, but that was great. And it was, people were mad at us. People were mad at us for how we treated Damien. And then it all led into our music video. You got this. Damien rejoins the band. We have auditions. Like, it all worked out great. But if it didn't go that viral, it wouldn't have hit that hard. So we had to keep it under wraps. So I think that's the subtle art. It's like if you're going to commit to the bit, you got to really commit. And just, we told Damien he had to block all of us from all social media, unfollow, block, so that if people went and started researching, they would see that like, well, they also follow each other. We told him he couldn't post or say a thing for days unless we told him to. So yeah, we love doing stuff like that, but we're gonna probably we need to make it so where like next time you almost fall for it too. That's when it's the right amount of time.
That's insane. But that's also something like I really do admire about you guys is the fact that you when you commit to the big, you like you said, you go all in. And I think that's amazing. Like because I love that style of humor and
Yeah,
I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm really secretive about stuff and like it's perfect.
yeah,
But shifting gears to your upcoming album, Mixtape for the End of the World, Volume 1, it comes out Monday,
mm,
June 16th. It feels very DIY because it's coming out on Monday, like Mixtape Monday. And everyone's like, oh man, why not Felicity Friday? That would have been perfect.
yeah. Um, we were like, no one releases stuff on Monday. We're gonna do it. That way we'll be the only thing going on that day. Also, we love like we think about like when we consume music. Like on Monday, you have the long weekend. It's your first day back at the gym. It's your first day back at work,
Yep.
and you're pissed off. Then you see in maybe a band you love just released a new song or a new album. You're like, oh, something good on a Monday, right? So that's why we did it. We were just like, let's just do it whatever day we want. And this is very DIY. I mean, I we do everything in house at this point. I did all the artwork, the merch designs. Guys helped me out with a lot. We are packing up and shipping all the merch orders by hand. hand addressing every single thing. We're actually hand drawing every cassette, every mixtape is hand drawn by the band. So it is extremely DIY, and that's kind of the mindset we had. That's where we started, and we've been on the label, and we've been with managers. But it's like, hey, like no one's gonna care as much as we care. So if you're gonna be have a percentage of this, you need to be willing to work at least as hard, if not harder than us. And if that means that we do this ourselves, we'll do it ourselves because we're not afraid of the grind. So
And how did it feel to kind of re did it feel like you were revisiting that grind in a way, going back to being full DIY? Because I know you had told me off camera like you that you wanted to go full DIY with this project, and you might return to some people in the
yeah.
future, but you wanted to go completely DIY for this. Was it harder or more easy, or like what did it feel like much of a change for you?
Um, I mean, it's really hard for us to kind of like give up like any type of control. It's like we like to have our hands in on everything,
Yeah.
and we like to be so close to it just because we've been doing it for so long. So it wasn't hard. It's definitely like, easier for some things to fall through the cracks or things be a little bit sloppier maybe. But we also know that like anything we do, we kind of like earned it, right? And we have that like sense of pride with it, which is great. We were just going through a big like kind of transition phase this time last year as it was, and it just kind of made sense. And we were like, hey, like sometimes you gotta like contract so you can expand. You gotta kind of like figure out what's right for the big picture, and then make some tough decisions. And if that means the band as a whole, whether it's like our growth or whatever it is that we're working on, we have to kind of regroup. It's going to be for the greater good and longevity of everything. And that's kind of what that period was. And now that we've come out of it, we see kind of feel that like fire building again. Like it never left us, but like we had to kind of build it back up. We didn't release anything really until now. We're about to release something. So it's been we released the cover of Hey Jude, which was just kind of like a fun, like, hey, let's get something fun out by the end of the year, not nothing too crazy over the top. And then this is our first real like release we've done since kind of that whole like step back from everything to make some changes and now come back. So now we're ready to go full force.
It definitely shows in the music just from what I've heard so far that's on the album and listening back to your last full-length Dear Universe, it's like a completely different band. And I say that as a fan of Dear Universe, but you guys are really like on another level with this production-wise, songwriting-wise, influence-wise. You can tell you guys picked from a lot of different styles of music for this. And I think it's really another thing, like you said earlier, you guys are like hand designing, hand drawing stuff for your merchandise. I think that's so cool because you don't see a lot of bands really do that anymore. And when they do, it's just like them signing CD booklets or something. But you guys are really going all in with the merch and stuff. How how much do your wrists hurt? I think it should be the first question.
So the truly hard part is still to come. Probably will be this weekend, so I'll get back to you on that. But so far, it's like it's been a lot of just organization and ordering and tracking inventory, and we have signed all of the Pokemon cards that need to be signed, the custom Felicity Pokemon cards. But the artwork project I know is going to be a pain in the ass. But at the end of the day, we just are like, if we're gonna do something, we want to do it differently than anybody else, and we want to have it to be something that people really like are proud to have or happy to have. And I was like talking to the guys when we talked about this, and we were talking about like the pros and cons of it. Like the cons are like it's going to be a lot of work, and it we probably could sell the same exact amount of these if we just printed them, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we want to show like our commitment to the people who support us, that like we want to do whatever we can to go above and beyond and make this special for them. Because that's what keeps us going. Like especially being DIY, like every single merch order means a lot more now to us. So we wanted to do something that was completely different and unique and DIY. And we're like, hey, listen, if our favorite bands were doing this, we would jump at the opportunity to get one of these. So if we have a handful of people that like are really excited to get this from us, then let's make it something that they're never gonna regret purchasing.
Musically, this album, from I think there's 9 tracks. I've heard 7 of them. 2 of
Mhm.
them aren't out yet, I don't think.
Yep.
But you got the Wasted EP, you got Levitate, you got Charlie Sheen, and I was thinking about this. Like, it must have been a nightmare to figure out like what to put first or like how to order them because all of the songs sound so different from each other. And like, I'm really curious, what was that process like for you guys?
There a lot goes. I mean, some bands I think just it depends. I don't know. We think about it a lot, probably too much. We probably overanalyze it, but we kind of had an idea of what we wanted. With Dear Universe, like a lot of thought went into that too. We were like, we wanted it to be like a journey because there is some like pretty strong duality in that as far as like some really heavier stuff and then some like not heavy at all stuff. So we wanted to kind of like make it more like a journey. With this one, it was really just based off feel and energy. And then sometimes we think about like, well, these two songs could go maybe next to each other, and then we'll listen to them, these three songs in this order and these three songs in this order, and see like, does it feel like there's an energy drop off at any
Mm.
point, or does it seem like it flows? Or it'll be like, you know what, this song ends on like an E note, and then this song begins on an E note. So that's a really cool transition as a listener. You may not even realize it's just like almost flows the two songs together. So it was really came down to stuff like that, and then we just wanted the unreleased songs to be kind of at the end. So kind of it's like if when the people get it, if they just go straight from the top and listen to it from the beginning, it's kind of like a prize at the end of the tunnel.
I'm sure the influences were all over the place because they all sound so different. And that kind of leads me to think of bands like AFI who like write
Yeah.
300 songs for an album and they're
Mm.
like or there's like a bonus track and they release it later and they're like, yeah, we just didn't think it was a good fit for the album. I feel like you guys are kind of a band where it's like you don't have a good fit or a bad fit because they're all
Nope.
so different. So what's your writing process like and how do you go about choosing what goes on an album and what doesn't?
So for this one, it was we started in the studio, and there was a very diverse, like pretty directly diverse like influences to it, where almost to the extent of where we went into the studio and we would say like, hey, like we're gonna write songs from scratch in the studio. And we're gonna track them as the ideas come, and then we'll see what sticks. And there was a lot of ideas we kind of tracked in the studio that never became songs, but if it became a song that we liked, it made the cut pretty much. And that's like how we weeded it down. But how it kind of started was a saying like, hey, we want to make an iconic as many iconic rock songs as we can. Let's just call them rock songs. And then it went to the next level of like, well, what's our starting point? Like, we don't want to just start with like, just noodling around until we finally play a riff or something. But what we did is we would pick a current iconic rock song. So for example, like Wasted, that day was us just sitting around and analyzing everything about Smells Like Teen Spirit, the riff, the energy, the tempo, the BPM, and being like, would be really cool to not like sample it, but almost have like that Smells Like Teen Spirit riff right in the beginning that
Hmm.
just it hits and everyone knows it and the energy starts and it just doesn't kind of stop. So like that was like the goal, was like goal, mission statement, and then we just went to work from there, like all of us kind of individually, and we came together with our producer Andrew Wade and just started putting it together, and that became Wasted. And we were like, wow, that came together really easily once we like had a goal in mind of what we wanted. And then like all the writing was the vocal writing and the lyrics. That was all after. It was like, let's write riffs and energy and enough riffs to be able to make a song, and then we'll figure out the emotional, artistic side of like what we want the song to be about. Listening to it over and over again, the musical side. So that's kind of how we approach a lot of these, which was completely unique for us, but it worked really well for us to be able to record a lot of music for the amount of time we were in the studio. So that was kind of that process. So there wasn't really like a not fit. I'd say that what made it on Mixtape Volume 1 and what is on Volume 2 is more where those decisions were made. But we pretty much were releasing everything that made it through as a song, which there was probably three times as much that never made it to the point where we were like, let's write vocals to this.
Mm.
Mm.
And what can you say about Volume 2? I'm sure it's not much at this point in time, but as far as maybe a possible turnaround compared to the release of Volume 1, or maybe the musical style compared to Volume 1, is there anything that you can say at this point about it?
I think volume two is going to be, if you want to call it, maybe a little bit darker or heavier.
Mm.
They're like very similar to volume one. There's going to be songs that, like for example, God Mode. If you know that song is going to be on volume two. So there's going to be a couple songs that are just like heavy hitters that have maybe been in the rotation that just aren't going to be on this because it just fit better with volume two. So and then there's probably seven unreleased songs on volume one. So on volume two, sorry, and they definitely all have like a heavier feel. So it's kind of like the heavier side, and it kind of leans into the story of like the mixtape for the end of the world is kind of like, this is kind of the way we interpret it is like, the end of the world could mean a lot of different things. It could be literally apocalyptic, right? Like some like a meteor is coming and hitting the world, or World War III is breaking out. But it also could be like we think about like the soundtrack to like whatever your end of the world is. Like if you've been through a breakup, that's like feels like the world is ending, right? Or you've lost a job, or you've lost a loved one. Like all of those subject matters, like you know, been working on these songs for 4 years. So unfortunately, one of us in the band has had every single one of those things happen. At least some of us have had all those things happen to them in the last 4 years. So it's like the soundtrack to our end of the world. Like this was the music we wrote at times when our world was ending. And so like, you can listen to this album when you're happy, when you're sad, when your world's ending, whatever it might be. There's probably something there. So that's kind of like the thought process behind it. So I'd say like second half is a little bit more darker and definitely heavier, some big riffs, some of the heaviest stuff we've ever done, and very sonically different than the first half. But everything was written at the same time, which is what the unique thing is. It's gonna seem like Felicity's going this heavier direction, which is maybe that's true. We'll see what happens when we write the next batch, but it was intentionally kind of like this is the like light side of the force, volume one, and then volume two is kind of the dark side of the force. So
I really like that. And I'm glad you mentioned God mode being on it because when I was looking at the track list, that was a question that I had because I'm like, wait, Levitate's on this, but God mode isn't, and God mode came out after Levitate. What's going? And then I saw volume one. I'm like, okay, well, it has to be on volume two.
yeah.
Same with uh, is it safe to assume that She's Nuclear is going to be on volume two also?
Right. Those are the only two released songs on volume two. So yeah, like those are
Okay.
going to be on it. And the rest of it is all unreleased. And so we probably won't put as many singles out because this kind of we started releasing Levitate, God Mode, She's Nuclear. Like we didn't have this necessarily planned out. We
Hmm.
were just shooting from the hip and just releasing songs and just having a good time. Just like, hey, this song, let's do this one next. Cool. So when we kind of got to the point where it's like, all right, we have to start putting some reins on this, and we have to start thinking as artists and not necessarily just like content creators and an up and coming band. Like, what do we want to do? How do we want to package this? And the kind of double album idea has always stuck with us. Like that was the plan, but it kind of was like maybe around that time we were on that Between You and Me tour, right after we talked. We were in the van just talking about ideas and ideas and ideas, and this kind of like light side, dark side, heavy side, double album idea, which kind of represents the two sides of the band. If you listen to Dear Universe, there's like clearly like two different sides to that album too. Um, that kind of just like seemed like how we wanted to do it and what made the most sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I put Sum 41's double album in the background too, because I didn't
Oh
realize
yeah,
just how appropriate that would be for this
100%.
conversation.
100%. One of my the first two CDs I ever bought were the same day. I went to the record store and bought them on CD, and it was All Killer No Filler by Sum 41 and Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park, which both those came out around the same time.
Holy
Uh,
shit.
yeah, and it was like I was like spend my hard earned like chore money and bought that was like the first physical music I ever bought. And looking back, it's like quite crazy how iconic both those records are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Debut albums from two iconic bands. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being so upset about Sum 41 retiring because I didn't get to see them last year because like I was stupid busy with work last year and I couldn't make it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Then they released the album, like I'm good. The album is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen them only at like Warp Tour. I've seen them like Warp Tour and they killed it, obviously. But great band. And You never know. The Eagles retired in like the 80s and they're playing shows this year, I'm sure. Like
Yeah.
you get the itch, you take a couple years off and then they come back. Like I saw Pantera, so like anything's on the table.
I saw Linkin Park last month.
There you go.
Um,
Anything's on the table. You never see there. So, it would be sad if this is the end of some 41, but maybe sometimes you just need a break.
yeah.
And sometimes then it allows you to become bigger than you ever might have been if you just kept going, potentially become just like a legacy act. Now they can come back and if they want to, have as much time as they need to work on an album and to work on stuff and come back bigger than ever. So
Yeah, they can definitely. I do think it was the right move to like retire off of this album, even though that wasn't the plan when they wrote it. But like after hearing it after it was finished, they're like, okay, we can't do another album after this. It's too
yeah.
good. But like you look at bands like Godsmack, and they said like this will be our last album, but we're gonna still tour. We just won't do any new music anymore. They could definitely go that route.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, you don't want to become the band that just is like doing the 10-year anniversary of this. Like you have Census Fail on the other side, another one of my absolute favorite bands. And I love when they release new music, but so
Yeah.
many people are just want to go to the 10-year anniversary of Let It Unfold You, and pretty soon we'll have the 20-year anniversary of Let It Unfold You, and then the
Yep.
10-year anniversary of Still Searching, and the 20th. Like, you can get caught in that trap. Where a band like Fall Out Boy wouldn't be caught dead playing an anniversary or anything. It's always like pushing the envelope forward, always pushing the envelope forward.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned Census Fail because like I remember when they did that first Let and then Fold You anniversary tour and they played the whole album, I thought that was going to be it. And
Yeah.
then like they've done that like playing that album in its entirety like three other times since then. And I'm like, wow. I
Mhm.
never thought I would see the day.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just such an easy. It's one of those like easy button things. It's like
Yeah.
they know that if they do it, like the ticket sales will be through the roof, and then they can still play the stuff from their new album, like push their new album. And the diehard fans don't care either way. Like they'd go see them no matter what. But it's really getting those people who love those handful of songs to get those butts in the seats. So it's just two different ways. I think like really with that type of thing, it's like how many original members are left in the band really makes it easier to keep the new stuff and like the brand like going. Like Fall Out Boy still, all original members, so they can just
Yeah.
keep being Fall Out Boy. With Sense Fail's just Buddy, and he has to rely so much on so much other stuff going on that like those anniversary tours and those make it that probably pays for his kids' college now every time he does one of those. So I get it.
Do you have a favorite between Let and Fold You and Still Searching?
Let Unfold You, I think is like my favorite era since it's failed. I think I love the songwriting, but
Mm.
Still Searching, I love the guitar work. So as a guitar player, Still Searching and Life's Not a Waiting Room, really like those albums as a
Yeah.
guitar player. That's when the Heath I think Heath joined for that. So like
Hmm.
I think he brought a ton of like guitar elements. They started doing these really awesome over the top like crazy harmonized guitar solos, which as a guitar player like that's my life force. I live for that. So they became this like emo band into like a very cool modern like kind of metalcore band, which I thought was awesome, but it was still super emo too. But as far as like the songs, like I can just put on Let It Unfold. I can put all those albums on front to back. But Let It Unfold You is just such a vibe. And I love like Lady in the Blue Dress, my favorite Census Fail song. Most of my favorite Census Fail songs are on that album. So I'd still probably give the edge to Let It Unfold You.
That's a fair assessment because I feel like that's definitely a more digestible album out of those first three.
Yeah.
So I got into Census Fail from Guitar Hero, so
Mhm.
obviously Can't
Oh
Be
yeah.
Saved. It's the whole
Mhm.
Still Searching album, but like it's such a heavy concept and it's like it's hard to listen to sometimes because of how dark it
Yeah.
gets. But then you
I
put on
think
Let It Unfold You and it's just so like that it reminds me of high school
yeah.
basically.
I mean, Calling All Cars was probably the first song I heard of theirs, and that was like I still probably maybe my second favorite Census Fail song, and that was really like they became like an MTV band. Like
Yeah.
music video was like really pushed, and then I think on Pandora I think Wolves at the Door, and I was
Oh.
just like that guitar solo. I was like, what band is this? And I was like, this is Census Fail. Like, okay, there's something here. I need to dig deeper. And then
Mhm.
I really started becoming a fan. And then I saw him at Warped Tour that summer. And it was with, I think, the line that had like Heath and the original guitar player and the original drummer, and I think he was like the only like kind of newer guy, and they were so good. And I was really diehard even through like when The Fire came out. I really liked that album too. It's not
Yeah.
the best, but I really liked it. I think that was the last of that era
Hmm.
of style, which had some awesome songs. I love like New Year's Eve, such a cool song off that album. St. Anthony's great. So yeah, I still love going to see them every time I get a chance to. I've probably seen them in the top five of all the bands I've seen X amount of times. They're in my top five that I've seen. I've seen them like probably at least 15 times.
Wow.
Between Warped Tours, co-headline, they keep doing the co-headlines with Silverstein. I'll go to that show every single time. Sign me up.
That's fair. Heath was such a pivotal member of that band too. I'm so glad you mentioned him because even his backing vocals live
Yeah.
were it brought so much more. And what hooked me on Can't Be Saved was like the harmonics in the intro. And then I heard Garden State from Life Is Not a
Oh
Waiting Room,
yeah.
and it was like even more of that. I was like, no way. I loved
Those
it.
those two albums almost are like they seem like like sister albums or
Yeah.
so like they're so similar and they are from a pretty similar time. I know they probably like got those both out I think like 2006 and then 2008 or something like relatively quickly, but man, like they were so dialed in as a band of what their sound was. And it was just like they couldn't miss. It was so good. And they also, I feel like Felicity 100% draws a ton of influence from them
Yeah.
in the sense of like you can listen to Let It Unfold. Sorry, like Let It Unfold You is like relatively like similar vibes through most of the album, but like Life's Not a Waiting Room. Like by the end of that album, it's like these really kind of like melodic, softer, instrumental driven, with like crazy instrumentations and really heartfelt, deep emotions that does none of that exists on Let It Unfold You and before that. It's like those elements from like Priest and the Matador and uh uh
4 years.
uh 4 years is it Angels was it Yellow
Map the
Angels?
Streets, Yellow
Yeah, yes,
Angels.
Yellow Angels. Like all of that stuff is just this completely different vibe they were started putting into their albums to where it was really like an album. It wasn't just like here's a bunch of singles that we picked. It was like this is a true art piece album, and that's really like always stuck with me. I really always love that band.
And did one of your lights go out, by the way? Because I noticed your video got really dark.
So I'm in Florida and we're about to have an insane thunderstorm because that's just Florida. So all the natural light went away. That's all that happened.
Oh, I got you.
When
Well,
the storm passes over in 40 minutes, it's going to be bright as day.
I was about to say, you're with you being in Florida, it'll probably only take like 5 or 10 minutes.
Exactly. It'll be gone in no time. Yep.
That's hilarious.
Mhm.
Um, that was something else, kind of talking about like albums coming from a similar time, but also like from Let It Unfold You to Still Searching. It wasn't a long time, but there was still a noticeable difference because of their whatever maturity they went through and growth as musicians.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that can also be attributed to you guys when you look at Dear Universe versus Mixtape for the End of the World. What would you attribute your musical growth to? Was it working with different producers? Was it life experiences amongst you guys? Was it a mix of both?
I think it's really almost like we're a different band, almost in the literal sense. Not like all the above. Like really, the producer thing. We use the same producer for Dear Universe on every song, and then every song except for Emo Trash and Charlie Sheen. And all of Volume Two is the same producer.
Hmm.
Andrew Wade, he's here in Orlando. He does. He's most notably did the first few A Day to Remember records, and he done pretty much all of Wage Wars music.
Yeah.
Neck Deep. He's in Life's Not to Get You by Neck Deep. Like he's a platinum album producer. Like luckily we've been working with him since we first kind of cold emailed him and we're like, hey man, we're a band from Orlando. It'd be our dream to be able to work with you. The guitar sound you had on Common Courtesy is like what we are looking for as a band. Like that is why we're emailing you is like what you did on Common Courtesy. And he was like, wow, like thank you. That was really and so he was like, he honestly had just had nothing going on at the time. He was like, I got the next 2 weeks free if you guys want to come do an EP. So we went and did a EP called Brace Yourself. And then we were like, as long as he's willing to do it, we want to do it with him because he's helped us develop our sound and develop us as musicians. And he's with all the bands he's worked with, he's seen it all. And he just knows how to write great songs. He's been doing the latest Broadside music. If you listen to their new stuff, it's so
Yeah.
good. Um, but so we've been going to him. So it definitely like him pushing us, pushing out of our comfort zone, him actually being more involved in our songwriting process, where it's like he's like an extra member of the band. Like we're writing songs with him, not bringing him songs and then, going from there. It's like this is the process of like having more time in the studio with him and having him more involved in the process. Definitely us as people growing and going through a lot. I mean, we were in the studio working on these songs the day Dear Universe came out. So like every
Mhm.
band's like, oh, celebrating their album release. We were already in the studio working. And it just took us to get to the point where we wanted to have both volumes of this done before we released the first one. So we knew that like we would always have something in the chamber ready. We don't want to have this like another long lull like this. Um, so that's kind of part of it. And then like quite just like literally like after Dear Universe, we had to change drummers. And then our drummer Rashid joined the band and he just brought this completely different musical influence and style and energy that's never been there before. So this a lot of the songs have just like a little bit more of a groove and the drums might be highlighted a little bit more because it's so unique for our genre. His main background is he's been on the road for the last 20 years and he drums for maybe anybody from NERD to Missy Elliott to he right now he's John Legend's drummer. So that's what he's done, like R&B, hip hop, and like that's where he comes from. But his dream was to always be in a rock band, and so we met him, and he recorded all the drums on the album. Was how this relationship started. Was hey, we need someone to record drums on Levitate and God Mode and some of these songs. Like, do you want to come in the studio and do it? Because we couldn't. Who else are we gonna get? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. I got nothing going on. Came in and did it. Then it evolved into us playing a couple shows together. It evolved into him us talking him into joining the band, and the rest is kind of history. So that's been a big change too. Is just like kind of the physical members of the band changing and bringing different musical influences and really just pushing each other.
Yeah, I agree that he's been a great addition to the band. Just as a fan on the outside looking
Yeah.
in, I think it's been amazing. And I was always curious, like, how the writing process was, like, how it influenced that, because I feel like it's easy for, like, fans to kind of fixate on certain members of certain bands and assume that they do everything. Like, you look at Ice Nine Kills, everyone thinks Spencer does everything, and he does a large part of it, but the musical side of things is also, like, Joe and Ricky and
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people would kind of just put those responsibilities on you and Damien,
Mm-hmm.
but you guys have like other members that I'm sure
Yeah.
contribute a lot.
100%. Like everyone contributes in their own way.
Hmm.
Like Rashid was like, "Hey man, here's the songs that we want to record. Here's like the MIDI stuff that us and Andrew Wade came up with, like the MIDI drum parts. And so like track this and then track your own idea as well. Like so it most of the time it was like most of the time would be Rashid's parts that we went with because it was just like not the like we default to like growing up on Census Fail and the Day to Remember and Neck Deep and stuff. And so like our brain immediately wants to hear the drums do this. And then when you hear the drums do something completely different, it's almost like now this song is like catchier because it's not the thing. There's something standing out about it, the drum parts. And that added a ton. And then working with some different producers too on some different stuff. Getting to do work with some other artists too and collaborate some with the artists like our song Emo Trash was with our buddy Grayson, and we worked with Andy Karpovic who he's awesome. He does like a lot of 408s music. He does Magnolia Parks music. Great producer. Um here Dark he's did like Dark Divine's first record too. If you ever check out them, they're really cool band.
Wow.
But Andy's awesome as well. He used to be based here in Orlando. He lives in Nashville now. And then we got to go work with John London from Point North on Charlie Sheen. So a completely working with these different producers, like you see, they have completely different songwriting styles and ways they go about things. So we're trying to like pick up a little thing from every person and try to just learn as much as we can. So that's kind of how the process has gone. And then when it came to the lyrical stuff, it's really us, obviously Damien, big part of it. and our producer Andrew Wade, and then just trying to all, but we really are all working on it together. We like have a concept, we all take our notepads and we come up with ideas and concepts and potential lyrics or themes, and then we kind of just the best stuff makes it. And there's no real ego about it. We just are trying to make the best song we can.
Now, before I let you go, I have a speed round for you once again.
Let's
Uh,
do it.
this time it's a little different. I've done this twice before now, and I want to do the third time's going to be the charm. The first two were so much fun. I'm going to do a game of this or that, and I'm going
Okay.
to make you choose between two Felicity releases. It could be a single, could be EPs. So I'm going to start with I'm going to go old school. Old habits or brace yourself.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna have to go old habits. I think because I mean, especially as a guitar player, like I we talk about this as a band. It's like, what were we thinking? Not in a bad way, in a way of like we were writing these like insane, like just super complex riffs, and like those songs are awesome, but they're like riffs out. It's just like here's another riff, here's another riff, here's another. It was almost like a Four Year Strong. It was like Four Year Strong wrote this record or something. Just
Yeah.
like riff, 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 and that's never been like who we were going to be or really were. I remember us like having to play those live and being like, why did we do this? Like in the studio, we'd write a riff and then Andrew Wade would be like, well, what if it was like this? And it was like 10 times more complicated. And we're like, let's do it. And then we had to go be able to pull it off. He was probably writing a lot of Wage War riffs back then, you know?
Mm,
So that was a lot of fun as a guitar player. And then obviously like that was our first kind of sense of like Spotify success. Like, you know, we had some songs get playlisted, which is really cool. And I some people still really love those songs. People love the song called Call Sign that really so most people have never even heard of, but some people it's their favorite song. And our first big, like kind of bigger singles were Circles and Tough Luck that were both
hmm
on that record. So I'm gonna go old habits. We also got Easter egg Mike Cortada to do the artwork on that, and he
Yep.
does like, you know, all of a day to remember, all of Ice Nine Kills. Like he's a G. I think he's in Ice Nine Kills now for
He's
real. I think he's a drummer, um,
he's the goat.
but he's the goat as far as so us getting able to get him on to do the artwork was a really cool like special moment for us as fanboys too.
Pendulum or levitate.
I'm gonna have to go Levitate. Uh, just it's just a personal thing. Like I
Mhm.
love Levitate. It's probably one of my favorite songs to play live, and I get to play guitar. Anytime I get to play a guitar solo, tough to top it. So,
Charlie Sheen or emo trash.
oh man, that's really tough. I'm a sucker for emo trash. Maybe it's guitar solo. Maybe we see a
Yeah.
theme. Emo trash was cool. It was like us setting a goal. It's like let's make a really like the most templatized like pop punk emo. Every single emo pop punk band that we love, from Newfound Glory to State Champs, Neck Deep, Stars So Far, then all the emo bands we can think of, and let's make a just song about emo pop punk music, like a very meta thing. That people will either love it or hate it. Literally, as the lyrics, "Love me, hate me, never gonna change me." And then
Yep.
also that like will go viral. That will go viral no matter what. If we write this right song, we wrote the song to be like a viral song, and it was like, can we do that? So I would say that like artistry maybe isn't as much there, but as far as like being a fun process and experience, is great. And like that song went like pretty nuclear viral. I don't know if you remember on Twitter when
Oh
that
yeah.
went out. That was probably one of the most viral things we've done, for better or for worse. But it was awesome. But it was just like we did it, like we knew it, and we set a goal, and that was what was so cool and meta about it. Was like even like there was it wouldn't negative for people hating on it, but it was like that's literally what we wanted, and nothing ever goes viral unless it's like because the equally amount of people are hating on it. Like that's
Yeah.
the only way something can go viral. Like look at any viral post, go to the comment section. It's going to be a 50 50 bag right there. So it was definitely like that. So I love that song. And when we play it live, the crowd goes wild. Everyone knows it.
Lovesick blues or nights in your bed.
That one's really tough. I think Nights in Your Bed for me, just because that one is definitely like a personal song for me specifically. Um,
Okay.
Lovesick Blues was kind of a similar like all the music was very from the heart with Lovesick Blues. It was very much it's kind of like the sister song to emo trash. It's stay with me. It's hard to explain. We like Lovesick Blues. A lot of the lyric content is all based from other songs.
Yep.
Like Phil's second verse is like song titles and lyrics from other love songs and popular '90s love songs. Because we were like, this has like a '90s pop rock love song feel, like Third Eye Blind, or or maybe a boy band type of thing. Is how we felt, and so we're like, let's lean into that when we're writing the lyrical content for it. And so yeah, like they both kind of borrow from their two genres, like the '90s love songs, and then like the early 2000s emo pop punk. So awesome, and it was really like we were shocked at how much people really loved that and streamed the hell out of it. Nights in Your Bed is really like an actual really personal song about life and love and breakups and stuff like that. And so that was always personally one of my close to home ones for me.
Mm. Codebreaker or Wasted?
That is tough. I'm gonna go with Wasted because it's a it's just like, I think it really like kind of a defining kind of moment of us being like, this is what Felicity sounds like everything we've ever done kind of combined into one, rolled maybe into one song. Like it's got energy, it's catchy, but it's heavy. It's got energy from start to finish. It never lets up, but it's also like a 2 minute and 15-second long song that's just like from start to back, just go 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 go. And then so I really love it. But honestly, like the Codebreaker rollout is like my personal like chef's kiss. So like I love that element of Codebreaker, and that's such a fun song. But we also
Yeah.
knew that it's probably won't be people's favorite song, but some people it's going to be their favorite song, and it's going to be so much fun to play live, and it's cool, and it's something like we've never done. So I'd say Wasted takes the cake, but it was a tough one.
Yeah, that I kind of have the same exact opinion just as a fan. Like the rollout for Codebreaker is like that's the cream of the crop.
Mhm.
But musically Wasted is that takes the cake, like you
Yeah,
said. Just
yeah.
the synths in the intro alone were just so perfect. That's a chef's kiss if I've ever heard one.
And we really didn't know what the response to Wasted was going to be, and then we put it out, and people were like, "This reminds me of like Seether meets Bring Me the Horizon," and we're like, "Sure,
Whoa.
like I'll take it," but like we had no idea what it would be, and like when you hear stuff like that, it's like, holy shit! Like, did we never thought we're thinking of either of those bands, but like that's so cool to get like that broad range of what people think the influences are, what the influences were, and then what it came out to be. It's like it's really cool, and so I think and I also think it's a song for everybody. Like if you
Yeah.
just like rock music, it's a song for you. It doesn't matter if you're into metal or lighter stuff or pop punk or whatever it is. It's just a fucking rock song, which I love.
My only complaint about it is that it's too short, like you said. I was driving to do behind the scenes stuff for a music video shoot for a local band. So it was like 45 minutes away from where I am, and I was listening to you guys on repeat, and I can't tell you how many times I played Wasted just because of how short it was.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's like we could have made it longer. It's like, we does it need a bridge? Sometimes we get to the point where it's like it doesn't
Mhm.
have a bridge, but do we want to write one? And sometimes like the bridge can be the best part of the song, right? But you'd
Yeah.
also don't want to force it to make the song longer. And we feel like the song was just like the way it exists is so cool, and it just makes you want to like turn it back on from the beginning. And I think that's a great song. It's when you just want to start it back over. But like the bridge of Charlie Sheen is like my favorite, one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts on the album. So it's every song is its own unique thing. It's like picking your favorite child. It's like they all have qualities that are great, and all have qualities that probably drive you nuts.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Now, this was everything that I had planned for this go around. I'm sure we need to talk again for part two for sure.
Oh,
But until then, was there any closing message to any Felicity fans watching?
thank you guys all for everything. I feel like I'm about to be literally living in the end of the world. I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm just glad my power didn't go out. But
Yeah.
no, thank you. If you guys are watching this, check out Mixtape for the End of the World Volume 1, and click any of those links in our bio, and you can see all of our current tour dates and links to all that. And can't wait to get this out and to get on the road and get sweaty with everybody and scream these songs out at the top of our lungs, and then turn around and come back with a whole nother batch here of different off the wall crazy stuff, and we'll see what type of rollout ideas we come up with for this next batch.
Hell yeah. Well, D Drew, thank you so much for the time. It's been so much fun catching up with you and talking about this album, and I can't wait for part two already.
Killer. Can't wait. I'm doing my job. The hype man, the promoter. It's great. But this is what I
You,
love. This is what the only thing we want to do in life. So there's no one that if you're doing something right, no one gets excited as we do when we get to do this stuff. So um it's awesome. So just appreciate everyone who's been with us. Some people have been with us for a long time. You've been following us for a really long time.
hmm,
So appreciate the support and can't wait to come back on and try to get more of the guys on here and we can have some more fun when this next cycle comes out.
absolutely. And to everybody who watched this, thank you so much for watching. Definitely check out Felicity's new album, Mixtape for the End of the World, Volume 1. By the time this interview comes out, it'll probably already be out, so hopefully you've streamed it a few times by now. Thank you again for watching, and until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.